Hola Aguilas, it's Miss Bree, and today our first read aloud for the month of April is called All the Way to the Top. It's written by Annette Bay Pimentel, illustrated by Nabi Ali, and the foreword is by Jennifer Keela Chaffins. So I hope you sit back, grab a snack, and enjoy this read aloud. All the Way to the Top. How one girl's fight for Americans with disabilities changed everything. The foreword. I was born with cerebral palsy, which means that I use a wheelchair to help me get around every day. From a young age, I learned that buses, museums, libraries, and even schools that were accessible to my able-bodied peers were not accessible to me because there were no wheelchair ramps. Imagine not being able to join in with your friends because you can't get into the building where they're meeting. I felt left out and did not like being separated from everyone, especially my younger sister Kaylee. As my family and I realized that people with disabilities were not treated as equally as able-bodied people, we decided to join the disability rights movement to help people change things for the better. I participated in my first protest in Phoenix, Arizona in 1987 when I was 6 years old. This was the first time I saw other people with disabilities protesting for their right to be recognized as equals. At first, I didn't know quite what to think, but after carefully observing the adults at the protest, both my sister and I realized that people with disabilities had the right to be treated like everyone else, and that Kaylee and I did not have to be separated. As one of the very few young children who got to be closely involved in the disability rights movement, I recognized that I had a very important responsibility placed upon me. I wasn't just representing myself. I was also representing my generation and future generations of children with disabilities who also felt left out as they struggled for the same rights as everyone else. It was this responsibility that led me to participate in a big protest called the Capitol Crawl. A decision that a lot of people say helped convince Congress to pass an important law for the disability rights movement, the Americans with Disabilities Act. I hope that by sharing my story, kids everywhere will see that you don't have to be a grown-up to make a difference. If you believe in something, say it loud for everyone to hear. The passing of the Americans with Disabilities Act was a big win for the disability rights movement. But we still have a long way to go, and I keep using my voice to speak up for what I think is right, and you can too. Let's get into the story. Jennifer Keelan may be small, but her voice is mighty. Yeehaw! Snowball responds, speeding up from a walk to a trot. Jennifer loves to go fast, but she knows she'll soon have less time for riding since she's finally old enough for school. She can't wait to make new friends. She's ready to go. The school's not far. Jennifer rolls outside down the sidewalk to the corner. But stop! A 4-inch curb is a cliff to someone who uses a wheelchair. Her grandpa eases her wheelchair over the curb. Though the drop jolts Jennifer, she makes it to the building. But stop! The school says Jennifer doesn't belong there because she uses a wheelchair. Instead, Jennifer and her mom find a different school that says she can attend kindergarten, but only for part of the afternoon when lunch is over. As Jennifer rolls in each day, everyone is already busy. She has to figure out what's going on and how to join in. Since most kids have never met someone who uses a wheelchair, her classmates are confused and even a little afraid. "You'll never be one of us," some of them say. Jennifer knows they're wrong. She's just a friend waiting to happen. But how do you change someone's mind? She's not sure. but she's not about to give up. Jennifer and her family hear about activists who are working to make sure people with disabilities have access to public places like schools. They want to know more, so they attend a strategy meeting. Jennifer has never seen anything like it. The room is full of grown-ups with all sorts of disabilities. Some use wheelchairs, some use canes. None of them are sitting around waiting for things to change. They're shouting and laughing and planning a big protest to get wheelchairs, lifts on buses. They turn to Jennifer. "Do you want to come?" Yes, she wants to go. Downtown, Jennifer rolls to the microphone and tells her story. She leads marchers through the streets chanting, "The people united will never be defeated." It feels good to speak up for what she believes in. She can't wait to do it again. She's raring to go. She protests in Phoenix, rolls through the streets in San Francisco, waves signs in Montreal. The demonstrations don't always change people's minds, but Jennifer is used to that. Even when her neighborhood school finally agrees she can attend, she and her classmates with disabilities aren't allowed to eat in the cafeteria with everyone else. That hurts, but she keeps going. Working with other activists revs her up, yet she can't help noticing that she and her sister are usually the only kids out there raising their voices. Still, she can't leave all the protesting to the grown-ups. She knows firsthand that children with disabilities get ignored too, so she keeps speaking up. When Jennifer's 8, activists propose a new law called the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA. The law insists schools, governments, and businesses make room for all people, including those with disabilities. Jennifer feels like dancing. If it passes, it means sidewalks with curb cuts, buildings with ramps in addition to steps, and elevators with braille panels. It means Jennifer and her classmates with disabilities can finally go to the cafeteria with everyone else for lunch. Jennifer and her family watch the news for updates on the ADA, but reporters never mention it. She switches off the TV in frustration, wishing she could change reporters' minds on what's worth talking about. Instead, the Keelans get their updates about the ADA when activist friends call. It's bad news. Members of Congress say the law will be too complicated and too expensive. They say it's just not worth it. Since the news station is ignoring people with disabilities, Jennifer and her friends are determined to find another way to make Congress hear their voices. It's go time. Her family buys plane tickets to Washington, D.C. As they march down Pennsylvania Avenue, Jennifer has never shouted louder. What do we want? The ADA! When do we want it? Now! Finally, they reach the U.S. Capitol. But stop! The mountain of steps blocks Jennifer and other people using wheelchairs from the building where Congress makes laws. Grown-ups slide out of their wheelchairs and start pulling themselves up the steps. They will make sure members of Congress know they are here. Jennifer's heart races. This is what she's been shouting about. I want to climb these steps, she says. But stop! These grown-ups think she's too young. You can't do it. Jennifer knows this is not just about her. It's about her friends at school who were shut out of the cafeteria at lunch. It's about millions of other kids she's never met who get stopped at every turn. Jennifer wants to speak up for all the kids with disabilities who aren't there. I need to climb these steps. She slides out of her wheelchair, scoots along the sidewalk to the bottom of the stairway, and puts her hands on the first step. She hauls herself up, tiny bits of dirt and rock digging into her skin. She drags herself up another step. The crowd roars. Reporters surround her with cameras and microphones recording her gutsy climb. I'll take all night if I have to, she vows, and she keeps heaving, hauling, dragging herself up those steps. She keeps going all the way to the top. Pictures of Jennifer climbing the steps flash around the world. Reporters start talking about the ADA. Members of Congress see the news, listen to the activists, and finally pass the ADA. Laws like the ADA don't change things overnight. Entrances have to be rebuilt, sidewalks redesigned, buses re-engineered. Slowest of all, minds have to change. So Jennifer will continue shouting and waving signs, organizing and explaining. She will continue fighting for what she knows is right. Jennifer has places to go, and nothing will stop her now. This is an ebook here in Destiny Discover, but we also have a physical copy in the library. Jennifer may be small, but her voice is mighty, and nothing will stop her now. Jumping right into the takeaways, what resonated with you the most in this read aloud? What is something that you identify with in this story? It doesn't have to be the main character, but it could be that you have experienced similar stories with people in your life. Why do you think certain words were highlighted in bold? What was the author trying to show us or tell us about those key words? If you don't remember what those words were, you can go back and watch this video again. Yesterday, I had a conversation about what it means to be a librarian and what we all offer and bring to the table as educators. Something that resonated with me in that conversation is that as a librarian, we need to be mirrors, windows, and sliding glass doors. That statement perfectly summarizes my mission as a librarian and what I want to bring to our library here at Jefferson. When you think about it, a mirror, you want to see yourself in books and characters. A window is that you're looking in on a story and maybe a life you've never understood, but this book has taught you and showed you something you never knew before. And the sliding glass door, which is what I think everyone runs to when they think about books, because you get to walk into a whole new world and immerse yourself in whatever that world the author has written for you. It is my hope that these read-alouds I share with you make you see, feel, and believe in all of those things. The takeaways from this story is plentiful, and ultimately I hope you see the struggles Jennifer faced and experienced, and the passion she brought to her mission, and the inspiration she was for her family, her classmates, her town, and a nation. She set her mind to something, and she achieved that and so much more. If you guys want to check out this book, it is an ebook, don't forget, in Destiny Discover, or we do have a physical copy here in the library. I hope that you're excited and ready for April's book picks of the month. All the Way to the Top was actually a crossover to bridge the gap from Women's History Month over to our April book picks. April is Autism Awareness Month and Poetry Month. So Run Wild is a picture book that's very springy and that celebrates and highlights poetry, and The Girl Who Thought in Pictures and All of My Stripes celebrates autism. You guys are excited about April book picks of the month. If you didn't check out How to Write a Story the week before spring break, make sure you check that out. It is live on my YouTube channel. I hope you had a great spring break. I hope you're having a fantastic first week back, and I'll see you guys next week in our next read aloud. Have a great week.